So, Mr. Nick Pogue, thank you for jumping on. Just kind of go quickly through UF. You came in not long after that national championship run. Give me a little bit about your experience at UF and how was that Gator standard set, and what was the expectation once you got to UF coming off, the highest you can get in college baseball.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, you hear about Florida baseball, you think Omaha. You always think compete for national championships every year. Um, it's not obviously going to be an every year thing, but that's obviously the goal you're working towards. And I think that was set by not only the guys before us, but by Sully being there for so long, having that standard for guys. Um, but I wouldn't have traded that for the world. I love playing at Florida. You make some great memories there. You play with a bunch of like-minded guys who are all striving to compete for national championships and eventually play professional baseball. So it's just a great experience you can't beat.
Yeah, and then like I said earlier, you had suffered some injuries. You got Tommy John in college, correct? And you came back from that, and you were able to push through that, and ended up signing a minor
Yes.
league deal. How is that, giving you an edge because you've seen some setbacks? Because we know minor league ball is not easy. How is seeing a setback like that coming back from it and being able to say, yeah, I was able to get picked up by a professional baseball team after coming off a serious injury? How does that just speak to your testament of your not only your mindset but your approach to the game of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough in any situation, especially mine. The kind of timing of it with me 2 weeks before, my junior year, my draft year, I had it coming off a really good fall. So it's tough. I mean, the timing's never good with stuff like that. And it's a grind. There's always times where I thought I was past it, and then new stuff came up that I didn't think I was gonna have to go through. And it didn't really. It took me about 2.5 full years to kind of get to where I was before it all happened. So it's a lot
Wow.
longer than you think. It's tougher than I definitely thought it was going to be. But it taught me a lot of things mentally, a lot of things about myself that I didn't know I could do and push through. So I think in hindsight, I'm very, very grateful it did happen because that's something that has taught me a lot about me and about myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, the road backs is not easy too. Even with my labrum, it took me, I think, 13 months to be fully back where I wanted to be, and I was only an outfielder.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving into here now, you got a couple of seasons under your belt. Now you have gotten a couple. I don't know exactly what the injuries were, not in detail. I can only read transaction lists as of right now. So, just tell me a little bit about those injuries and how you've bounced back and forth. You were picked up by the Rockies. Now you're with the Nationals. Give me a little bit about your minor league journey and how it's been for you.
It's been good so far. A couple of hiccups, like you said, injury wise. I did have shoulder tendonitis my first year, and then this year I did re-sprain that same injury I had in college, which was scary, but it ended up being
Yeah.
just a couple month rest type of deal. It's been very different adjusting to minor league ball. I mean, you're playing 6 times a week for 7 months,
Months.
and you get one day off, and you're trying to figure out what to do on that. Yeah, what to do on that day off, to not, go overboard and make sure you get your work in and your lifts throughout the week as well. So it's very, very different. I think you see a lot of guys especially coming out of college and even in high school that really don't know how to adjust to the workload. So I think that
Right.
first year or so is really learning your body and what's best for you, your output each day. And I think it's definitely an adjustment period for a lot of guys.
Yeah, you also mentioned how Sully was there for a while when you got there, and he already was set in his ways and had things. He knew how to get guys to the pro level. How do you think being at UF, gave you that mindset and that routine-oriented approach to be able to thrive in minor league ball and even just get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's taught me a lot about, mental toughness. There's a certain standard that he expects while you play at Florida. And I think pro ball is very more relaxed and very more laid back compared to that. But I think it's good to have, the standard before going into that type of environment. I think if it was reversed, you'd be kind of, shocked. You'd almost have a little bit of a
Yeah.
wake up call. But he sets the standard for all of his players. So then when they get into pro ball is almost like a breeze moving up the minors. So, I mean, I'm very, very grateful for him and for what he did for a lot of the guys. And I mean, the success shows that and what he's done there. It's been great.
All right, and then on a lighter note, moving into now you're here in minor league ball. Just some favorite memories. You know, it's a tough and it's a grind, but there's plenty of things you can enjoy. People from different walks of life, anything. What's been the most enjoyable part about it?
I think just meeting all the new guys. I mean, baseball's such a small world in that you kind of know everybody you're with and playing against. So it's cool to be playing with guys that you played against in college,
Hmm.
and played with in college against in the minors. I think traveling to a bunch of cool places. We went to New Jersey, we went to Brooklyn. We've gone to a ton of cool spots. So I think it's just meeting all the new guys and just kind of building that camaraderie with them. But it's also very different because the team you start with in the beginning of the year is not going to be the team you end with because guys get hurt, get moved up, moved
Right.
down. So it's very interesting in that aspect. So you're always going to be meeting new people. But I think it's just fun getting to know the new guys each year with the draft and guys that you sign throughout the year.
Is there a teammate that you may have played with before, or maybe even travel ball back at home in Florida that you've been able to play now at a pro level?
Yeah, my first year in high, I played with Jacob Young, who's now in the big leagues with the Nationals.
Yeah.
Because I played with him at Florida we came into the same class in 2018. We graduated high school, and then he was drafted, obviously, the year I was hurt. And then I got to play with him until he started moving up. But guys like that. There was a guy named Tyler Dyson who was with the Nationals.
Yeah.
He was a junior when I was a freshman, so I got to play with him for a little bit too. So yeah, it's good to see everybody that you played with at Florida playing in the minors.
Yeah. How much did you say you stick together? Do you guys communicate still today? I mean, it's the same grind for you guys, even if you get to the big league level. Like Jacob just won a Gold Glove yesterday. Do you guys still communicate to kind of keep that group of like we're still pushing together?
Yeah, because you'll have like your groups that you had in college, and like you'll have like six guys in a group chat, and two of them are
Yeah.
in the big leagues. Two of them are working normal jobs. So it's just everyone's in their different walk of life. But I feel like we've all kind of been able to stay, well put together, communicating at least every week. One of my good friends that I played with, Christian Scott, who's with the Mets, he's in the big leagues with the Mets right now. So we talk probably at least every week, if not more. So there's just guys that you're always going to talk to, and it's not even about baseball. It's just checking in, seeing how they're doing, how's life, everything like that. So it's definitely built a bond with all of us.
Yeah, and that kind of segues into my next question. I was going to say your mental approach. I don't know if that's another reason, but what's a way outside of baseball that you get your mind right and because baseball is a mental game. How do you get your mind right? Some other ways, maybe that's one of them. Give me a couple other things too.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think a lot of athletes, especially growing up playing at a high level at a Division I level pro ball, they really don't know anything but giving like baseball everything they have. So I think there's a lot like it's really hard for guys to be able to turn it off when they're not at the field. And I
Yeah.
think if you're able to turn it off and just be whoever you're going to be off the field, you'll have more to give when you're on the field. Because I think if you're just all baseball 24/7, like that's all you're thinking about, it can get tough. It gets, exhausting at times.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, just being able to kind of clear your mind off the field, you'll be better when you have to turn it on being on the field.
Yeah, and also too, some guys overlook the fact that a lot of times that born and raised in Florida, you're from Melbourne, I'm from DeLand, Florida, not far. Even talking to Nate, he's from Jacksonville, and he ended up playing in Maine. So I'm like, it's the first time living out of state. That's its own challenge. How has it been with the Blue Rocks? You've moved a
Yeah.
little bit, but how has it been just being out of state, far enough from home to where you're still on your own in a way, and it's a mental battle on its own, just from that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been tough. I think we got a glimpse of that in college. You're playing a bunch of SEC schools, so
True.
you're traveling, you're flying. But I think all of that leads up, and it's never going to really fully prepare you to what pro ball's like. So there's definitely a little bit of like that feeling of being homesick a little bit. It's not like you're right around the corner. But I keep bringing it back to college because I think college helps us be prepared for that. So then when you get into pro ball, it's such a breeze. I think, like I said, going back to having the guys that you build a bond with, not only from college but on your team in pro ball, help you guys just kind of push through the long season because it is a grind for sure, especially being so far from home.
Yeah. And as I close your last couple of questions, um, what is there something you wish you would have known in college going into pro ball? What's some type of advice you would give to these guys that are here playing now, that you wish you would have known going into it?
Yeah, I think I didn't. So I did know this a little bit towards the end of my college career, but just how important the mental game is. So with me going through my injury, I started meeting with a mental performance coach. I actually got certified in being a mental performance coach. That's something I want to look into moving into when I'm done playing. But I think a lot of people and a lot of players overlook that aspect. They think that it's just all being on the field and just based on talent and hard work. I think the mental aspect gets overlooked a lot. I saw it firsthand with some guys. I saw how it was important to me coming back from an injury that, like I did. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing I'd tell guys, especially even going into college and coming from high school.
Yeah. When did you get certified as a mental performance coach?
I got certified like 2 months ago. So when I was down here hurt for
Okay.
3 months, we had so much downtime, and I knew
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do. So I just started. I bought a certification. It took me about a month and a half to do. Did it a
Right.
little bit every single day, and I knocked it out. And so I'm going to start just helping kids around my area with the stuff that I struggled with. I think
Yeah.
exposing them earlier is going to be helpful for when they get into where I'm at.
Dude, that's awesome. No, props to you, bro. That's going to take you further than you ever think, too. I've been pouring into that, the mental side, so much that
Yeah,
when I was playing, I never thought of it until you get hurt. And the one thing you want to do is baseball. You can't do it. It's like, okay, what do I do
yeah,
now? Where's your identity? So that's awesome. I
yeah.
feel like that's something that I have not heard very often from other players that I've talked to, even just people I've talked to. So keep pouring into that because I feel like that's going to take you quite a ways. So props to you for that. I'll close
I
this last
appreciate it.
question. Yeah, I'll close this last question. Like I said earlier, a lot of guys, whether it's Jack Caglione that just got drafted, and other guys, doesn't matter who, you sometimes get forgotten until you get to make it to the bigs. What's something that you think minor league baseball could do or organizations could do to highlight their players a little more, to give them more of a voice in today's version of NIL for pro guys? What's a way that they can improve that to be able to promote you guys more as your own personal brands?
I think honestly, it's gotten so much better over the last couple of years. I mean, when I first got into pro ball, it was just now switching over to, players getting their housing paid for and stuff. Because before that, you're all on your own with
On your
that. You're
own.
making half of what we make now. So I mean, it was tough then, and guys still grinded through it, and they still performed on the field to eventually move up to make it to the big leagues. I think MLB as a whole has gotten so much better at that, promoting guys. I think guys are now starting to take the initiative, doing it on their own to post and, on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Um, and I think the minor league teams are doing a lot better. They're holding these advertisements so you can come see these big players when they're in town. You have a big league rehabber that's rehabbing in your city. I think they're doing a lot better job than what they were doing. I always say this. I
Mm.
think I got into minor league baseball at the right time just because
Yeah.
it's slowly starting to make that change for the players.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Well, once again, thank you for your time. Is there anything you want to add that I haven't asked you before?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.